Today, I'll be showing you guys how you can build the ultimate and indestructible Machinedramon and Chaosdramon deck. Just before we get started with the video, I got something really cool to share with all you guys. If you haven't watched our newest Battle of Series, then be sure to check that out as well. In our latest Battle of Cross Encounter episode, we spiced things up, where Sam and I actually partnered with each other for a tag team battle against our friends this time. This gave us a chance to showcase you guys a larger variety of decks in action, so be sure to check it out after this video too. Links will be included on the top right iCard and in the description box down below, so I'll see you guys there. Hello Digimon players and fans, welcome back to another Digimon Deck Profile and in-depth building guide video. The brand new Chaosdramon came from the latest EX03 Dragonic Roar set, and this card single-handedly makes Machinedramon Deck insanely good. The reason is because it can do one of either two things. It can first Digivolve on top of Machinedramon and build stronger stacks with lots of inheritables, or it can be hard played itself to control the board and de-Digivolve as well. The Machinedramon and Chaosdramon is a slightly unusual deck to play, as you're not trying to build your stacks traditionally from Digivolving. It is more of a Mega Zoo type of playstyle, which thrives best from the late game and you hard slam your level 6s. But just so you guys know, it really does pay off when you do that, because it has built-in protection which isn't easy for most decks to play around. Everything you do really solely revolves on gathering the perfect parts to build your ultimate machines with your level 5s. And the idea is to utilize as many different kinds as possible, as it's really good for supporting with inheritable effects, whether to help you combat against different matchups or play a different style. Playing this deck is actually really fun because it has a completely different approach overall, and it really makes you switch your gears and think a little differently. But also for you guys who have never touched this deck before and have no idea what it does, don't worry, I got you covered with the combos and how to play segments as well as usual. But with that being said, let's begin with the deck profile. Okay, so starting off with our Digi-Egg cards, we got the 4 copies of Pagumon. Pagumon just still being one of the best generic black eggs, because on deletion, it's kind of like a draw power card, so you get to review the top card. If it's a black Digimon, you get to add it to your hand, otherwise you put it to the bottom of the deck. And 4 copies of these eggs is really all you need, simply because we don't play a whole lot of rookies. So speaking of rookies, we got one of the best rookies for the deck for sure. We got the 4 copies of the EX1 Hagurumon. This one is on play. Trash 1 card from your hand that has Machine or Cyborg in its traits, Digimon specifically, to draw 2 cards. And you really want to see this as soon as possible in the early stages of the game. You always want to be hard playing this guy so you can cycle through and find your pieces as soon as possible. Next, for other rookies, I have 2 copies of Chumon. Chumon is just really great against most meta-relevant decks. Currently, a lot of them gain memory, and having Chumon does slow them down and make them play a little bit awkwardly instead. And yeah, just a very nice generic staple, which I opted into for. And then for another one, we have 2 copies of Chikurimon, just a really great security bomb in general as well. Super good when you get to pop it off from security by de-digivolving one of your opponent's Digimon, and it really can ruin their plays and ruin their day, which is definitely very nice when it comes in clutch. Otherwise, you would be digivolving these on top of your eggs usually, and then you will be just trying to swing in or just grow like a mini stack if whatnot when you need to. Now, just before I show you guys the level 4s, did you guys know that there is a Chaosdramon X Antibody card coming in future set? I read the effects, and that card alone actually makes the deck even better than it currently is, and I'm super excited to try it out, and I just can't wait. And if you guys feel the same and just can't wait for me to cover the updated deck when it does come, then be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell right now to stay tuned. And like always, be sure to give this video a like, because I really appreciate the support, and thank you all so much. So let's get back into the deck profile though. That's it for the level 3s. For the level 4s, all we have is the 4 copies of Guardramon. Guardramon is a blocker himself, and you usually want to be digivolving him on top of like your Hagurumon and your rookies and whatnot, but also has a pretty nice inheritable of when attacking, you can trash 1 Digimon card with Machine or Cyborg to draw 2 cards, exactly what Hagurumon does. And the only main difference is that it can consistently, because it's when attacking when you have that inheritable. Keep in mind, Guardramon cannot attack, which is exactly why it's a lot of value for a 6k blocker that's level 4 by itself as well. That's it for level 4s. Let's talk about level 5s. Level 5s, there is a lot to talk about, guys. And let's break this down because that's what the whole deck is all about. So let's start off with the red color level 5s. We got 3 copies of Metal Greymon. I really like this card right here because you can swing over stuff and pierce, giving you sort of like a built-in removal for the deck, which is always very, very nice. Also, when attacking, you can delete stuff with 4000 DP or less, but we mainly just talk about inheritables for the Machinedramon deck overall anyways. And yeah, this is why I think having 3 copies is really, really good. Then we got 2 Volcanomon. This guy is from the Jesmon starter deck. Very simple, security +1, straight up as a inheritable. Sometimes you may want to digivolve this guy from a level 4 for your Guardramon into him, and he is a 9k blocker himself, which is kind of beefy, but once again, no conditions for security +1 is just super good for the deck. Then we have more security +1 inheritable, Megadramon. This one does have a condition because it does have to have machine in its traits, which is why having one is totally fine, whereas Volcanomon now becomes the main one we want to go into. This one on play deletes up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. Depending on some matchups, it can work very nicely. We also have another Megadramon, the one from BT6, which is also treated as black. Not really important, but it gives you your turn inheritable, extra 2k. So it's going to help beef up your top end, which is very nice too. So that's it for the pure red stuff. Now let's talk about the black level 5s. We have Metal Tyrannomon and Andromon, of course. We got 2 copies of each because they synergize very nicely all together. Reboot, blocker, inheritable all together, which is always good. They have very similar or exactly the same when digivolving effects. By revealing the top 3 cards, you can add 1 level 6 machine and its traits among them to your hand and trash the rest. Again, you know, we're really just using the inheritables, and because Andromon is a blocker, we do really like having blocker inheritables. We do definitely play the black Megadramon from the black starter deck 5, which basically just gives blocker with no conditions whatsoever as well. Then we have Metal Mamemon. Metal Mamemon is actually really good as a inheritable because when attacking, you can delete one of your opponent's play cost 5 or less. And there's a lot of small stuff on the board in this current format as well. People that tend to go wide, there's a lot of things you can actually delete, which is very, very nice. Of course, you have to meet the condition of having a machine as traits, and when digivolving, revealing top 3, grabbing yourself a level 6 machine, and then trashing the rest to help set up a little bit. And yeah. Then we have 1 Gigadramon. Gigadramon is exactly like Megadramon, the red version from BT6. Some of you guys may have remembered. This guy is treated as red. Not super important, but once again, it's inheritable. Is your opponent's turn. This Digimon gets extra 2000 DP and making your blockers even beefier and stronger. Really, really nice. Who doesn't like extra DP? So we're not done with level 5s. We got some really cool sort of newer level 5s ever since the last time I made a Machinedramon deck profile, where there's a lot of cool and nice stuff to add on. Ever since in BT8, we got the double color Metal Greymon, the one that's black and red. This one can de-digivolve when digivolving, popping something that's 3000 DP or less afterwards also is very nice. But mainly, again, we can utilize its inheritable for attacking unsuspended Digimon. Because while this Digimon has a Dragonkin or Machine mainly being our Machinedramon, we can attack those unsuspended Digimon, which is very, very neat. And in BT9, we got the addition for Megadramon right here. When digivolving, pop a 3 cost or less or a 3 cost or less Tamer as well. And when attacking, also lets you pop the exact same thing, a 3 cost or less Digimon or a 3 cost or less Tamer. Since Shoutmon decks and Crossheart decks are not as popular as compared to before, Megadramon, you know, reducing the numbers of it is totally fine. But however, if anything, if you're facing against matchups that play a lot of low cost Tamers, bumping the numbers of your Megadramon can really, really help with this deck overall. And yeah, that's it for the double color level 5s, and that wraps up for all the level 5s. So let's talk about our level 6s. Of course, the main boss Digimon himself, we always want to be playing the 4 copies of Machinedramon right here. Machinedramon can hard play, grab a bunch of parts from your hand or trash that are specifically level 5. Keep in mind to make sure that when you're doing so, you have to grab different Digimon with different codes, meaning they have to be from different sets. You can't just stack the exact same card under it as inheritable all the time. All turns, its DP cannot be reduced, and also all turns when he would be deleted, you can trash up to 2 of the level 5 sources to prevent it from being deleted instead, which is very, very good. Super cool card because once you hard slam it, you usually just be paying 7 memory because you want to shove 5 parts underneath, you gain the 5 memory back. So the only major weakness that this deck really has is memory blockers. Well, which is totally okay. And yeah, it feels sad though sometimes when you do run into it. But otherwise, Machinedramon is definitely your main boss Digimon to go to. But now with the new brand new addition, the brand new Chaosdramon that we got from EX3, which changes the whole way you play this deck because it's just now so much more incredibly reliable with this card. Chaosdramon does a whole bunch of things, which is even better than the old one. First, you Digivolve for 1 on top of a Machinedramon. You can either on-play it or when Digivolve it, meaning you have very similar concepts to Machinedramon. Whether you choose to do so, you basically place 3 red or black level 5 cards with Cyborgs in their traits with different numbers from your hand or trash, just like Machinedramon, and shove it underneath to the bottom so you gain even more super good inheritables. You can build a super powerful stack on top of each other. But after adding the parts, that's not just all, because the even cooler effect is that you can de-digivolve 1 for every part that you added. So meaning that you added 3 parts, you can de-digivolve 1 to one of your opponent's Digimon, so you can de-digivolve it by 3. And yeah, just super good. And it also has a very similar all turns protection, just like Machinedramon normally does. When this Digimon would be deleted or returned back to your hand or deck, you may trash the 2 level 5 sources to prevent it from leaving from play instead. So very, very good versatile Chaosdramon. You know, you're not restricted to Digivolve only on top of Machinedramon, but sometimes you want to be hard playing this guy because once again, he gives you a lot of value by itself and with the control. Super good card. That's it for all of our Digimon. Let's talk about our Tamers. First and foremost, we got the good old Taikamiya from BT2. He is your memory setter, but also all turns giving all your black Digimon extra 1000 DP, makes your blockers super strong and very difficult for your opponents to overcome your big Chaosdramons and your Machinedramons, which is why, again, I really like bringing back this old card here and playing in this deck, and it's worked out very nicely for me. Next, we got 2 Kazus. Kazus is just great. Start of your main phase, you get to gain a memory if you have a Cyborg or Machine as traits, and then also helping you draw cards, because all turns when a Digimon with Cyborg or Machine as traits is becomes suspended, you can draw 1 and trash 1, cycle through cards. Trashing is totally fine, so you can set up for more pieces and just cycle into other newer cards you want instead. And yeah, Kazu's really great. Next, we play 2 copies of the good old Izzy and Joe here. Once again, this is mainly like a meta call because once again, we have lots of wide format, wide boards coming in this current meta. And it's very likely that you can gain the 2 extra memory. And who doesn't like starting off with 2 extra memory in your turn? You know, if you can play your Digimon and you can sort of like retain your turn, really, really nice. And it can give you a bit of draw power, which this deck does lack a little bit as well. But that's totally okay. And yeah, Izzy and Joe, lots of value. I do definitely like 2 of these guys in the deck, which has helped out quite a lot. So that's it for all the Tamers. Let's talk about the options. Of course, 4 copies of Ultimate Connection. More cycling, you know. Playing this card, you get to gain a memory back essentially because you gain 2 and you pay 1. You trash 1 of your level 5 Digimon and you get to draw 1 card as well. So once again, very good cycling concept over there. In security, it's kind of like a pseudo Hammer Spark as well. So it does give you quite a bit of defensive capabilities, which is very, very nice. And we know how good, and you definitely want to maximize 4 copies of. Next, we got this brand new card. Not really brand new, but it's kind of new from the last set from BT9. We got 4 copies of Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon. Now, main, you trash 1 card with Cyborg or Machine as traits from your hand to have all your level 6 Digimon with Machine as traits gain Rush and on play Blitz as well. Now keep in mind that you only get the Blitz if it does have Digital Evolution sources. So once again, works out very nicely with your Machinedramon and Chaosdramon because you do get those sources usually, so you can immediately just attack. And by doing so, you can have a whole bunch of effects pop off and you cannot pass your turn. You can still sort of have value when you're hard playing these guys and sort of like try to pressure the board, but whether if you want to do some removal, swing over stuff, swing at security, and giving you the better punch than it usually has from before, which is very, very nice. And you do definitely want to maximize 4 copies of this. And it has a very good security effect because when it comes out with security, you can trash 1 Digimon with Cyborg or Machine as traits to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with play cost less than or equal to that trash's cost as well. So yeah, very good removal, very good defensive capabilities, and yeah, just a very, very nice card to have, and I would not play any less of this one for sure. Okay, now that we got the main deck covered, let's show you guys some other really cool cards you can consider adding when I was building this deck. First and foremost would be a very generic staple type of thing is Chikurimon, which is really great for stopping Digicrossing, you know, Def X and stuff like that in general. However, once again, I kind of felt like, you know, those type of decks are not as popular and not as seen as much as before. So, you know, I've just put it on the side for now as consideration. Next, we have Hyper Infinity Cannon. This card being Chaosdramon's sort of signature move. Really nice because you get to play this card ignoring its color requirements as long as you have a level 6 Digimon with Machinist traits. You Digivolve 3 and then you pop one of your opponent's Digimon that's 6,000 DP or less, but also you get to slide in a Cyborg from your hand or trash underneath one of your level 6 Machine Digimons to give it extra inheritable. It is very nice, and for the 6 cost, it's pretty neat. And if it comes out with security, you get to activate the main effect, and yeah, very, very nice for the deck. If you guys definitely want to juggle around with your options a little bit and have a little bit of spice, I think this one's definitely very nice one-off to add for defensive capabilities for sure. Otherwise, there's a good old style. You can Digivolve 3 and then board wide boards with Ultimate Flare. Very, very good card overall for sure, 100%. Just again, another staple. Next up, for these cool cards, I want to show you guys it's more of the blue package. If you guys watch my old Machinedramon Chaosdramon Deck profile, you guys know that I played a blue base, and that blue base actually still sustains very well to today because there's a lot of good cards that can really help synergize with the deck super well. So what I'm talking about is, first and foremost, we got the new BT9 Kyo. So we got a Kyo that's sort of like your memory tamer, but the main purpose is so that we can play Kaiser Nail. Kaiser Nail, you know, when you do Digivolve like your Chaosdramon on top of your Machinedramon, you can spit out your Machinedramon underneath it back again and shove in a whole bunch of new parts, and there you go. With so little cost and memory, you got like 2 strong level 6s on the board right there. And if you are playing the blue package, I do recommend playing sort of like the different rookie lineup where you have like, you know, the Demi Vmon eggs and like the 4 copies of the Vmon, jamming Vmon to help you give you a little bit of draw power and synergize it with a little bit so you can pull off your Kaiser Nail a bit more consistently. So that's sort of like the first suggestions I have. This works out very nicely still, and I definitely highly recommend you guys to try it. One last special tech spice. You guys can play Ragnar Lordmon in this deck as well. Ragnar Lordmon can actually, you know, DNA with your Machinedramon and your Chaosdramon together and then form into this guy, and then you have this big boss Digimon that finishes and clears boards and deletes security as well, all in one go. So a little bit of a meme tech spice here, but it does work, and yeah, you guys can definitely try it out as well. Okay, now that we got the cards completed and talked about, let's show you guys all of your favorite section of the video, which is the combos and sort of how to play. So you hatch your egg, and you really rarely Digivolve your egg ever. You know, the only Digivolve targets you would be doing is your Chumon and your Chikurimon. Sometimes you'd be even hard slamming your Chumon. So this deck, keep in mind, not having the rookie is totally fine because you do have your Hagurumon. And I tell you, 99.9% of the time, you want to be just hard playing this guy instead, because you definitely need to trash your level 5s to cycle for more cards. That's what you're doing. You know, these cards are usually not like super good in your hand in the early stages of the game. However, you have to be good at identifying your situation. Sometimes if you have enough memory, you might as well just have to hard slam one of them. You know, ideally you want to hard slam the one that has the lower play cost, like the 6 ones or even the 7 ones, which are the majority. Sometimes you do have to, and you have to be very generous with your memory when you're playing this deck as well. It's not about choking. This deck is late game heavy, and you have to make sure that you do whatever it takes to cycle pieces for level 5s, whether you're putting them in trash, drawing them or whatnot, and then you bring out your Machinedramon and Chaosdramons as soon as possible, which is again why you need to see these 2 guys ASAP. Of course, ideally when it comes to this, at the same time, you know, you could be playing your ultimate connection to cycle through cards. You can, you know, be playing a Kazu, you know, establishing them early and then having Tai or whatnot, you know, playing these cards bit by bit so that you can help yourself set up for the game plans or whatnot. So let's just say you got to your 3 memory with your Tai. You don't really necessarily need 3 memory in this deck, which is kind of nice because you can just make sure that you just want to hard play your Machinedramon right off there. By hard playing the Machinedramon, you can put 5 pieces. Make sure they're different names, right? I mean, not different names, but like different codes. Now, this is where your matchup knowledge and identifying the board state type of skill comes in most important play. Because while you have the more machines you have to sort of choose from the level 5, you got to identify what your matchup is up against, right? Are you against a heavy control matchup? Do they have a lot of tamers? Or, you know, these are the things you're going to ask yourself and analyze the board state. And this is basically the most pivotal decision that you have to make during the game, because what I usually do like to go for is the reboot blocker, because establishing the blocker is very, very important, because you do want to stop your opponent from attacking you and you want to control the board that way. But then for the other 3 pieces, do you want to do security +1? Is it a matchup that's favorable for you to go aggressive? If it is, then go for the security. Does your opponent have a lot of tamers, small tamers, small rookies or whatnot floating around? Maybe they do. Then you need to pop those things. Metal Mamimon comes in great handy as well to pop those at the same time. Or does your opponent have stuff that needs to be removed because they're like stuff bigger Digimon like this, right? And then you can use your Metal Greymon to swing over it, and you can actually even do the Metal Greymon swing over unsuspended and piercing at the same time. If they're really, really strong Digimon, then you want to rank up your DP as well. Rack up the DP with your Megadramon right here. If not, you want to use the Gigadramon to rack up from DP. So you have to be very good at selecting your pieces and your choices when you're playing with Machinedramon. Now, this is where this option comes in real handy, because you would pay essentially the 12, putting your opponent to 9, and then you'll be gaining 1 memory each back. So you're gaining 5, so you're putting your opponent to 4. You're passing them to quite a bit of memory, and once again, like I mentioned, you have to be generous with it. You can't be greedy, because that's the way how you have to play Machinedramon. If you don't want to do it, you can't play it, basically. So this is why the Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon is a super good option, because you trash 1 cyborg or machine or whatever from your hand to essentially let your Machinedramon attack with Blitz. So when you attack with Blitz, you can actually proc all these different effects to control the board even further with whatever you need. Afterwards, once you're done with it, you get to reboot and block and have a defensive stance against your opponent, making it hard for them to deal with afterwards. Now, moving on next, we got Chaosdramon. What do you want to do? Like I mentioned, there's 2 ways to play it. If you want to build an even stronger stack, right, you can just Digivolve for 1 and add a whole bunch of other cyborg machines from your trash underneath it, and you have a really, really good stack right here where you have a lot of defensive parts maintain sources for it, which is very nice, right? You got 1 big whole Digimon. If you don't want to do that, you can just hard play it alongside with your Machinedramon. So you have both Chaosdramon and Machinedramon on the board, and sometimes you can even establish 2 big blockers with reboot with that. And also Chaosdramon controls the board even further because it de-digivolves 3 on your opponent's Digimon. And once again, if you played it with Attack of Heavy Mobile Digimon, you can be swinging it with Rush as well, which is very nice. So it's really about the pivotal, again, decisions that you make of what parts you have, what parts you need for the level 5. It's all about the level 5 parts for this deck overall. And then you just continue to pressure, very control style. You chip your opponent bit by bit, and from there you just try to swing in for game while you're doing so. And yeah, that basically wraps up for the combo here. Now I'll conclude for my very own deck building strategy and in-depth guide for the Machinedramon Chaosdramon Deck Profile. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. Overall, the Machinedramon and Chaosdramon deck is super fun to play. It has its very own unique playstyle and mechanic, which really makes you think that you're building a super strong machine boss monster by combining different parts to it. I simply love how flexible the deck can actually become, and it really challenges you to make meaningful choices, especially when you have to set up your level 5 sources. That'll wrap up for the video for today. Once again, if you guys want to see more EX03 deck profiles and guides, then definitely subscribe and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. This is Avault, signing out.